Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alan Butler, and this is Jay Taylor. He's a hard money fella like myself. JTaylorMedia.com. Jay, how you doing?
I'm doing really good.
Jay, I guess we just have to resign ourselves to QE3, QE4, and QE whatever.
Well, yeah, I guess the people that are in power don't know what else to do but to print money, and it's a road to disaster long term. It gives us a quick fix, but the problem is that the fixes are becoming less significant with each installment of new QE. So I think a lot of mainstream people are starting to realize the folly of the ways of Ben Bernanke and the Federal Reserve and Keynesian economics, but. Hey, look, as long as it works and as long as the establishment can keep living the way they are, I expect things will continue on. But how much longer is the big question.
That brings up an interesting point. Now, the GOP is putting in their platform. They're going to form, I guess, a group to possibly form a commission to study returning to the gold standard.
Right.
The last time we had a commission such as that, it was made up of bankers, and the last thing in the world the bankers wanted was to have their hands tied by a gold standard. Nixon, in his executive order, said it was a temporary move breaking that link. Well, why don't we just recede that executive order and get on back to the business of having some gold-backed money?
Yeah, I guess it's not going to happen until the United States is forced into that move, I would guess, and that's likely to come from the creditor countries, the countries that buy our treasuries. Of course, Mr. Bernanke with his QEs is increasingly buying the treasuries, printing money to buy them. So, I don't think there is a gold commission supposedly, and to the extent that Ron Paul has any influence in the GOP and in terms of the composition of that committee, which is the most important thing. I think it's just probably window dressing to try to placate Ron Paul supporters and gather them in to vote for Romney. But I doubt very much that anything meaningful will come out of a gold commission. Ron Paul and Louis Lehrman were the only two people in Ronald Reagan's gold commission back in 1982 to suggest we could go back onto a gold standard. But as you suggested, it was the bankers. It was loaded with bankers that Milton Friedman and Anna Schwartz basically selected for the gold commission. So if the deck is stacked against it, there won't be anything positive coming out of the gold commission unless Ron Paul has more influence and unless there are people who are Austrian-leaning economists that are on that commission. I think you can bet that it won't come to anything, really.
Well, that was my spin on it. It sounded to me like it was just total pandering to Ron Paul's supporters.
Right. That's what I think it is. I think that's all it is. I think there is probably a growing recognition, as I said earlier, and what I just said a few moments ago, that there's a growing recognition among mainstream economists that what they're doing isn't working. But, that shouldn't be any new revelation because the same policies were orchestrated in the 1930s, and they did not work. As Treasury Secretary of Roosevelt said, we've had 8 years now of the Roosevelt administration. After the first 8 years, he says, and we have just as much unemployment as we had when we started, but we have a whole lot of debt to boot. Well, the same thing is true. Now we have as much unemployment, and the unemployment picture is not improving, and we have all this huge amounts of debt. So it doesn't work. The system, the Keynesian economics is a failure. It doesn't work, but the policies suit the people that have control of the system. It suits the bankers. It suits the politicians who are using the fiat money system to steal, to rob the American people, the people who create wealth, the miners, the farmers, the manufacturers, the inventors, people that really do things that are worthwhile, that help our lives, that make our lives better. The doctors are getting hosed, I think, really badly now by the big insurance companies. So we have a fascist economic system that is using government and large corporate interest and banking interest to change the laws, to take away free market economics, and it's all working against the common folks. And until the system breaks down, well, they're not going to go back to a gold standard because that would return honesty and free markets to America. And the people in power simply don't want honesty. They don't want an even playing field. They don't want free competition. It's really fascism, and fascism by definition has the large corporate interest in bed with the government, to keep the wealth flowing their way and to keep competition from occurring, honestly. So anybody that says, look, capitalism doesn't work, if they're pointing their finger to the United States of America right now, simply doesn't understand capitalism. Capitalism, in its pure form, requires competition to the extreme so that you have to work extremely hard to survive and make a profit, and there's no guarantee that you will. But the big guys now are looking for guarantees of profits on the backs of the common folks in America. It is simply wrong. And the only person that stood up against that at the GOP, in the GOP, was Ron Paul. And, of course, he's been basically shut out. So the system will continue on as long as it is, and it's sort of right-leaning with the Republicans and left-leaning fascism with the Democrats until the system breaks down. I mean, I think it's as simple as that. I mean, I'm not hopeful at all. At the edges, I favor Romney because I think he'll have fewer taxes, and a little bit more liberty maybe, but at least domestically. But it's the system is a system, and it's geared for the people in power.
I'm glad you've taken this in that direction. Most people, when they hear the term fascism, immediately think of the Nazis, but it is private ownership, government control.
Right.
And with the system we have in place, with the nationalization, essentially the de facto nationalization of the banks, the auto industry, what everybody has taken to calling crony capitalism is fascism.
It is. It's capitalism, as Gene Epstein of Barron's calls it. He's been on my radio show now and will be a regular participant. But it is capitalism. It's fascism. It is anything but free market capitalism. And, of course, we've never had free market capitalism in its purity. It's almost impossible. But it seems to me if the people of America were educated, they would want to strive for that. If they really wanted an egalitarian system that allowed everybody to have an even playing field and an opportunity to participate. But we're being denied that now. We're being denied that by an increasingly fascist, and really when you talk about it, fascism and communism are much the same. There isn't a whole lot of difference. In the communist system, you had the ruling elite that lived much better than the common folks, too. So it's all about people that have the upper hand and finding ways to influence government, get laws passed in their direction against the average people. And it's just anti-American. Honestly, it's completely opposite the Constitution that was constructed, but that's what we have. And so what I try to do in my newsletter is to say, well, yes, this is the way it is. We'd like it to change, but this is the way it is. How do we protect ourselves against a system that is against competition, is against freedom and liberty, and try to survive as best we can within what we have?
Jay, speaking of that newsletter, how could somebody get that newsletter?
Best place to go is jtaylormedia.com, jtaylormedia.com. There they can click on to mining stocks. There's a whole lot of different things that I do, but the newsletter is accessible through that website as well.
Jay, we're down to a couple minutes. Ben Bernanke in that letter to Darrell Issa said the reason he wants to go ahead and reaccelerate the money printing is because of the lag time of the effects. And I would argue that we're just now seeing many of the effects of Operation Twist, QE2, in the form of this skyrocketing inflation that we're now dealing with.
Yeah.
He has, if you were trying to deliberately destroy one's currency, you could not follow a better roadmap than the one that Ben Bernanke is following right now. Oh, absolutely. And destroying the market system with interest rates that are phony and punish savers and reward people who live irresponsibly. I mean, that's been the direction of things for a long time. And the inflation is increasing. We don't have hyperinflation, but we do have a growing level of inflation that really hurts the middle class very badly, because what they're doing is pumping money into the system, and that is available then for hedge funds and big banking interests to play around in the equity markets and in the commodity markets. And they're playing all kinds of games with derivatives and this and that to sort of skim off profits from the common folks. And this is, it's just a tragedy. It really is. But yes, he is doing and the communists and even Keynes understood very well that what Bernanke is doing is destroying the system. Of course, it's not
it's not presented that way to the common folks. It's presented as if we're here to help you. We are here to help you through this difficult time. And Mr. Bernanke is not there for the bankers. Oh, no. He's there for us common folks. And, of course, they have to spin it that way, or there would be a hell of a revolution out there right now.
Yes, which is what Henry Ford said. This is Jay Taylor, jtaylormedia.com. Jay, you're one of my favorites.
Thank you.
Look forward to the next time.
Thank you very much. Good to be with you.